many people grew up with that as well. Many people definitely hate Sonic 1's physics because it's much more slower, grudgier, and to actually pick up pace is much more kind of like boring, I guess. Because how many times in this Let's Play I've just done is that have I actually picked up any speed other than Green Hill Zone, because there was so much loops and slopes. There's not much. And yeah, much people want to see much of the feature of Sonic going really fast through loops and stuff, and see the traditional gameplay, but that really made Sonic so great over the years. And I'm probably those players that I just want like that type of feeling, but at the same time the difficulty factor of trying to bring up the speed as well from the momentum, and that's why I kind of grudge myself over just the Sonic 1 much more than the other classic gameplay. But I still like them all kind of equally in a way.
Yeah, I like, don't get me wrong, I like all the classic Sonic games. I have mad respect for Sonic 1, that's why you're never going to hear me bash it, ever. It's just not my favorite classic. But, at the same time, when I got it in, I keep saying 2004, it was actually 2002. I got it for Christmas in 2001, so I played it throughout 2002. When I played it, and I beat the game, I was like really wrapped into it. Like, that's the only game I played for like a month straight, and I was just like getting used to the physics and like the differences, because you go from playing Sonic 2 and 3 all throughout the years, and then you jump back to Sonic 1. It's like, whoa, there's a huge difference. And at one point I loved the physics, where it was like the best thing. I didn't want anything else. It wasn't until 2004 where I played Sonic 2 and 3, and that it was like a huge 10-year gap. And when I played those, I was like, oh yeah, these are better. Spin dash, rolling physics, speed, it was like, wow, cinematics. But Sonic 1 has a special place in my heart, definitely.
Oh yeah. And what do you actually think to the level design of Labyrinth Zone, since I'm struggling to actually get up to the actual final boss, by the way?
I have one word, and it's a word common to the Sonic series. And you may know what that word is. It's my favorite word. Chaos. That's what I see here. There's just so much going on. You're just jumping, and you're like, what is going on? You have no rings. Like, what is going on here? It's pure chaos. That's what's going on.
Yeah, definitely. Chaos and like the little designs on the walls of, I don't even know what they look like. I think like they're just ancient gods or anything. I don't know. And it really symbolizes like you're in an ancient Mario temple, and I do love these stages as well, like ancient temples in Sonic games that they've been doing all over the years.
Yeah, I love that. Like Sky Sanctuary, I love that level. Death Chamber with Knuckles is honestly one of my favorite. The little art on the wall, the little Egyptian writing. It's like, wow. That's my kind of thing. Those are kind of things that I'm actually into. Like, I love Egyptian hieroglyphs, and it's just like, wow. That's just cool of Sega. Mario doesn't do that.
I think it's just that Mario is just kind of situated just in Mushroom Kingdom. That's the only thing I think all around it. Actually, no. Like Mario's one is always like in what's it called? Like upside world of Mushroom Kingdom. Like he's going.
Yeah, something like that. I don't. The thing about Mario is I'm gonna be honest, his games, like his early games, were really generic. And yes, they took place in the 80s before we get a flame war going. I know it took place in the 80s, and I'm taking that into account. But throughout the years, his games were really generic and kind of basic to me. From Mario 1 throughout Mario Worlds. To me, Mario World was the most unique Mario game. And Super Mario 64, wow, my mind is blown. I'm in love with how they made that transition, just like I'm in love with Sonic Adventure's transition. But anyway, we're at Starlight Zone. Wow, I didn't.
Yeah, your favorite stage.
Yeah, that's that surprised me actually. I didn't know we got there this soon. Yeah, this is my favorite stage. The music. I'm not. One thing. My only gripe about the stage is the background. To me, the background should have been more city.
The bad.
No. The actual backdrop.
Yeah.
It should have had more city feel to it. It's more industrial. It should have been like kind of like a New York style, I guess. I don't know.
Well, I do give it credit to them. It's like much more calm, peaceful, and yeah, I think the New York style would be much more crowded, much more live, I guess. Thinking, but I think they did a good job here with the level design.
I think so. Just, I don't know, for a nighttime city stage, it feels like there's something missing to me, but at the same time, it could be one of those suburban areas, you know, where, you know, it's just dark and it's late at night and there's no one out. You know, I could see that happening too.
Yeah, and just right now, we're counting so much speed right now. And this is one of the remarks we said earlier that for favorite Sonic stages, you would need to have a lot of speed put into the Sonic stages for fans to actually like. And Starlight Zone has definitely got one of the best features of getting the speed out of nowhere.
Yeah, it sure does. There's a lot of loops, there's a lot of slopes. Spin dash honestly isn't really needed in a stage like this, but I could see where it would have enhanced it a little bit. But
yeah,
you know, the platforming is more of trying to like get to a path so that you can run fast. I really like that about this stage.
Yeah, there was different pathways as for any Sonic 2D game, and I think I'm most likely taking the upper path because it's much more easier to just go through the stage, and much more shortcuts, much more rings, and it's much more enemies to destroy at the top. While in the bottom one, it slows down my speed a lot, and I didn't really want to take the lower path because I was kind of afraid to die in Starlight Zone, because if you take the lower path and you're just running at blazing speed, you definitely are going to die.
Yeah.
But yeah, Act 3 of Starlight Zone, pretty much 4 minutes, and it was doing Labyrinth Zone for like 10 minutes there.
Yeah.
That's probably another like advantage Starlight Zone has. It's a quick stage. Like you can just turn on your Mega Drive Genesis and just have a quick round of Starlight Zone, which people might love to do.
Yeah, I personally love Starlight Zone. It's my favorite. I've given it the nickname Twilight Zone because I don't know, it has a trippy feel to it. And oh look, there are buildings in the background. See, that's exactly what was missing in the first act. It's a really, I love Starlight Zone, man. It just, honestly, it feels like a second home to me because I love cities, and this definitely gives that city feel. And I just love the speed. I can't explain how much I love the stage.
And as you pointed out with the cities, I was thinking about one of the reference from another Genesis game that actually gives like that city feel as Starlight Zone, and that is Streets of Rage. As you know, at the beginning of Streets of Rage, they actually show the city and stuff, and it's all peaceful and stuff. Right. I think it's from Streets of Rage 1. They show that, and I think it's exactly the same level design, like the same background feature.
It very well could be. I would not be surprised. Reusing some items back then. Streets of Rage is one of my favorite games. It gives you that Metropolis feel. One day, once we run out of Sonic games to Let's Play, we are definitely doing Streets of Rage.
We are doing that. We're doing many Sega games.
Definitely. Sega, all Sega. And it'll be fun. But yeah, you gotta love these city games and stages, man. It just gives me a feeling that you just don't get in these new games. These new games they have you in the dirt, you know, fighting wars, or they have you like just in some random place that makes no sense. You know, not talking about Sonic games, but Sonic, just right. Games in general. It's like, what are you doing? But yeah, you gotta love these city stages, man. It gives you that good 90s feel.
Yeah, definitely. Because they actually just varied around and stuff, and yeah, as I said, like Sega is definitely the mature company out of Sega and Nintendo, and they felt like with Sega games they felt much more directed to everyone, but it was still kiddish in a way, but it was definitely directed because like realism environments and the colors and stuff are so interactive, while Nintendo one is like kind of like a kiddish tale, like a kid dreaming of like a magical kingdom and stuff.
Right, just pure fantasy, which is, you know, which is fine. I'm all for a good fantasy every now and again, but Sonic was like, man, if Sonic was real, this is how it would be, you know, or it's more like, if I was in Sonic's world, you know, it's not very different from my world. It's like, he might be running down the street at the speed of sound, but I can drive down the street and at the speed of sound. So, you know, you just gotta love and respect that from Sega, the fact that they brought that realism into such a game that's really meant for fantasy, you know?
Yeah, and as talking about realism environments, there was like a huge argument based for Sonic games. Like, most people wanted that Sonic was supposed to be in some magical world of like just saving bunnies and stuff, but we all know that every Sonic game is based on Earth. Sorry, carry on.
No, go ahead.
Okay, like I was saying that most people wanted much more of like Green Hill fantasy zones, and people hated industrial zones like Scrap Brain Zone, or should I say zones from, I don't know, like Shadow the Hedgehog, like it's much more dark and stuff, and people don't like that. And what was your point of that? Like, would you like to see the much more magical zones, like much more colourful, like Emerald Hill, Green Hill, or would you like to see different variety zones, like sometimes industrial zones, such as Scrap Brain Zone, and darker zones, maybe Cloud Around and Shadow the Hedgehog zones as well?
You see, that's a very good question, and that's the best part about being a Sonic fan. You get it all. You don't have to really make a choice. You're right, there's a ton of debate about things like that out there. The thing is, like with Sonic games, you're gonna get both of them. You're gonna get the realistic stages, you're gonna get the fantasy stages. The thing I love about Sonic the most is like his special stages. They're special for a reason. It's almost like him going off on some magical trip in a fantasy, and or the mushroom effect, as they say, or the stoner effect. You know, there's all these colors, and it's like, you know, like what's going on, you know. But to answer your question though, I would probably prefer. That's a tough one. I would probably prefer realistic stages, I guess, such as like Station Square, being able to walk around cities, like Carnival Zone, and you know, just things like that. But what I was going to mention earlier, there is a huge debate out there about if Sonic takes place on Earth or in Mobius, you know, Sonic's home planet. And me and one of our other colleagues got into a huge heated argument, like to the fist, about this. And he did his research, I did my research, and we both came to the conclusion that yes, it does take place on Earth, but at one point, or at certain points in the Sonic series, we do think that there are some games that do take place on Mobius. I believe that Sonic CD may be an example of Mobius and Little Planet, if I'm not mistaken. I can't remember the research that we did and the facts that we came up with, but there are some games that take place on Earth and some games that take place on Mobius. It may not be CD that I'm thinking of. I could be way off. I'll have to dig up some information. We'll try to annotate if we can. But yeah, like Sonic Adventure definitely takes place on Earth. I don't care what anyone says. It's not Mobius. These games, there's a lot of debates, but hey, look to the manual. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, they do say it's on Earth as well for these manuals.
Right, exactly.
I just think that, yeah, I definitely agree, like when you said that there should be a mix of all of them, and Sonic's got all, instead of like the mushroom effect that pretty much Mario had, and that he would never kind of subside away from that type of effect. And Sonic has done that. He's been in much adventures everywhere, and it doesn't really bother me in types of level. It probably just bothers me only on the effects of what they can do within the level. Like in this one, such as Scrap Brains, I think they've done a brilliant idea of all these platforming mechanics here. That's all these fire that's burning out, all these like electricity in the air that's trying to zap Sonic, and it definitely showcases that this level design is out there to burn your like smithereens. And I'd love to see much more of these like types of feelings like in last levels, because Scrap Brain Zone is definitely one of my favorite last levels in any Sonic game, because the amount of challenge and difficulty it has that you would have to uncover in this last level is just so brilliant, all tangled together. Like, and many Sonic games I think that doesn't really showcase that.